Welcome to Logwin Australia. My name is Marco Peach and I'm the Managing Director of Logwin Australia. We are looking forward to telling you about our operation down under. But before we do, I thought we had better tell you a little bit about Australia, because to understand Logwin Australia, you really have to understand some of the things that make this country unique. Here goes.
Australia is home to the world's oldest continuous culture, with Indigenous Australians having lived here for tens of thousands of years. Europeans only started settling in 1788, and it wasn't until the mid-20th century that the population really began to grow rapidly. Today there are about 28 million of us. That growth has largely been through migration, and as a result we are one of the world's most culturally and linguistically diverse countries. Almost a third of Australians were born overseas, and we have more than 100 religions and 300 ethnic groups. We love the arts, music, food, wine, and the great outdoors. But what we really love is sport. We even invented our own game, Australian rules football. Australians do have a reputation for being laid back, but while we believe work-life balance is important, we still like to get the job done. In fact, on average, Australians work more hours than Canadians, Brits, and most EU nations. So that's your average Aussie. But let's face it, when most people think of Australia, the first thing that comes to mind is our wildlife. Australia is certainly home to some of the world's most intriguing and cutest animals, including kangaroos, koalas, platypus, and wombats. It's also home to a lot of creatures that will kill you. There are deadly spiders, jellyfish, crocodiles, octopus, insects, sharks and snakes, lots of snakes. In reality, you're more likely to die crossing the road than being attacked by an animal. If there is one thing you need to know about Australia, it's this: it's very big. We are an island continent with a coastline stretching for more than 25,000 kilometres. In terms of size, we are pretty close to Europe, but with 3% of its population. Also, most of Australia is empty. That's because 40% of the country is pretty much uninhabitable. Our outback stretches across millions of square kilometres and includes deserts, mountains and gorges. As a result, 90% of Australians are living by the coast, and most of us are huddled in 4 of our 6 states: New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland and Western Australia. In fact, more than 60% of Australians live in just 4 cities: Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Perth. Distances between our major cities can be vast. Brisbane to Sydney, that's 10 hours non-stop drive, or a 90-minute flight. Sydney to Melbourne, about the same. Melbourne to Perth, that's about 36-hour drive or a 4-hour flight. We definitely recommend flying. If you want to drive right around the country, you can take Highway 1. At 14,500 kilometres, it's the longest national highway in the world. Those big gaps between cities have left us with some other big things, such as the world's longest fence, the Dingo Fence, which runs for 5,600 kilometres from Queensland to South Australia. The world's largest working cattle station, Anna Creek Station in South Australia, which is not much smaller than Belgium. One of the world's longest roads, the Air Highway, which runs from Western Australia to South Australia and features a 147-kilometre stretch that is dead straight, not a single bend. We're not telling you this to show off, just to highlight the fact that moving goods around Australia isn't always easy. It takes time. Getting to and from Australia also takes time because we are a long way from the rest of the world. It takes on average around 8 hours to fly from Sydney to Singapore, 11 hours to China, 14 hours to the US West Coast, and 23 hours to get to Europe. Flight times are not the only challenge Australian businesses face, as our product manager Air Freight Dean will tell you.
One of the biggest issues we have on the air freight side is that there is virtually no direct flights from Europe to Australia, so everything has to come via hub. That means cargo has to be offloaded and transferred to another aircraft before continuing on to Australia, which adds time and complexity. International time zones can also be a challenge because when it's day in Australia, people in Europe and US have gone home or asleep. So we have to work a lot of late nights and respond to emails at odd hours.
Of course, it takes a lot longer for cargo ships to make those same journeys.
Australia is well served by ocean freight services, but importers have to order very early to ensure stock doesn't run out, because transit times can be very long. From China, it's only 2 to 3 weeks, but from Europe it can take up to 7 weeks. In peak season, further delays in transshipment hubs such as Singapore and Malaysia can add another 3 or 4 weeks, so it can take up to 3 months for goods to arrive from Europe.
As an island nation with no shared land borders, it's easy to see why Australia is so reliant on its seaports, which handle 99% of our international trade by volume. Each year, around 31,000 vessels visit Australian ports, collectively processing around 7 million full containers. The majority go to ports in state capital cities, but in total, Australia has more than 60 seaports, and many of the biggest are located in regional centres close to mining areas, such as in Newcastle, a couple of hours north of Sydney, and Port Hedland, right up on Australia's northwestern tip.
Now you understand a little bit about Australia. Let's look at Logwin Australia. We established our first office in Australia in 1979 with a small team operating in Sydney. Today we employ almost 90 people who work from our branches located in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Perth. The vast majority of our customers import goods into Australia, primarily from Europe and China. We bring in a broad range of products including retail goods, pharmaceuticals, fashion, construction material, machinery and electronic equipment. Much of it for Australia's strong mining and renewable sectors. As with any country, business is all about building relationships, and different approaches are sometimes needed depending on where you are in Australia.
We often tailor our approach to match the culture of each state. In Sydney and Melbourne, things might be a bit more formal, whereas in Brisbane and Perth, the approach is likely to be more relaxed and less structured. Clients also want to know that we have a presence in their state, which is why it's important for us to operate offices in capital city locations around the country. Even within a state, in regional areas outside of the capital, we face competition from local freight forwarders. That's why our sales team has a presence on the ground to stay close by and build strong relationships with our clients.
Each of Logwin Australia's 4 offices certainly has its own distinct personality, reflecting its location and the kind of products they handle. Let's take a tour, starting in
Brisbane, capital of Queensland, the Sunshine State. The Port of Brisbane is Australia's 3rd largest container facility on the eastern coastline and handles a wide array of goods, from wool, sugar and dairy goods to oil, construction materials and transportation equipment. To cater to forecast growth, the port is dramatically expanding its capacity through one of the largest land reclamation activities in the Southern Hemisphere. By the time it's complete, the project will create an extra 224 hectares for a range of new port and quay facilities. Efforts are also underway to improving freight rail connectivity to the port. Our Brisbane office was established in 2007 and it's led by our branch manager, Mark.
We've got 6 people in our team, including myself, and we are an exceptionally efficient operation. Each of our staff process 75 shipments a month, and we deal with a wide range of products. What makes us special, I think, is the fact that we love a challenge. We have plenty of normal customers who bring in full containers, but we are really attracted to the abnormal stuff. The messy cargo, the out-of-gauge cargo, the big flat racks, the project cargo. A lot of this type of cargo goes to sites west of us, which could be 100 kilometres away, or north up to Townsville and Cairns, which is almost 1,800 kilometres away. It's often loose cargo, which we unpack and then put onto trucks. We move special 11.8 metre piping for the gas industry. We work with mining companies to bring in cable drums and we deliver electrical gear for the renewable energy projects run by companies such as General Electric. Recently, Suntory set up a new manufacturing facility in Queensland, and we delivered to their site more than 150 40-foot containers and 18 40-foot flat tracks, some of which were 5 meters wide. One of the challenges working in Queensland is the weather. Sometimes we have major storms and floods that close the highways. The distances and the potential disruption to transport links is not something everyone understands outside Australia. So sometimes when I speak to other Logwin officers, they'll struggle to understand why it takes a little while to send something up to somewhere like Cairns. Ultimately, we differentiate ourselves from competitors through our service. We always go the extra mile for our clients.
Next up is Sydney, arguably Australia's most iconic city, built around one of the world's most beautiful harbours. It's home to Australia's second largest container port, Port Botany, which welcomes more than 1,600 ships each year, carrying over 2.5 million containers. That equates to around 40% of all Sydney household goods. When it comes to infrastructure investment, Sydney's energies are currently going into building a second international airport west of the city at Badgerys Creek. Due to open in 2026, Western Sydney International Airport's 24/7 curfew-free operations will immediately boost Sydney's air freight capacity by more than 30% and offer improved connections to road transport. The Logwin Sydney office processes a wide range of sea and air shipments and also looks after the operation of a major retail chain in Australia. The person who leads the team in looking after our clients is Customer Service Manager Sam.
We have a lot of collective experience in our team because being customer facing, it's not really a department where you come to cut your teeth. My role is to maintain our new and existing customers, so I work closely with the sales team and any customer inquiries or escalation comes through me. Our entire team works on a key account with a major German retail chain, which now has almost 600 stores across Australia. We have worked with this company for more than 20 years and it is a special relationship. But we also work across a broad range of sectors, each of which have their own specific needs. For instance, we recently brought in by air freight some heavy machinery, including wheels and axles for new rail networks in Victoria and New South Wales. We also work with a makeup and fashion client with a global footprint, which brings in everything by air freight. So it's a high energy, fast moving and requires different level of care and attention than ocean freight, where you have more time to complete and coordinate documentation. One of the things we have to remind Australian shippers about is the fact that ocean services to Australia are in limited capacity and frequency. And often we are at the mercy of shipping lines and airlines, and we are just an island, so that's just how it is.
Down in the southeastern part of mainland Australia is Melbourne, our second largest city, which is renowned for many things, including being the country's sporting, fashion and coffee capital. Thanks to its strategic location and extensive infrastructure, the Port of Melbourne is Australia's largest port for containerised cargo. The port recently completed a $200 million project to accommodate larger container ships and improve rail and road access. With its container volumes expected to double by 2050, another $200 million is being spent further expanding facilities, with plans for a new truck parking area and enhanced container storage. Our Melbourne branch was established 25 years ago and is run by branch manager Dirk.
Melbourne is one of Australia's largest import hubs, and one of the things that makes our office a bit different is the number of business sectors we work across. They include food, medical equipment, pharmaceuticals, high-end fashions, and machinery for the manufacturing and food catering industries. One of our bigger customers makes uniforms for our firefighters, police and state emergency services. We transport fabrics from all around the world to Asia, where they are turned into finished garments and shipped to Australia. We also have export customers, one of which sends fresh food up to Japan to make tomato paste. What really stands us apart from the competition, I think, is the fact that we offer a boutique style of service. Our customers have a single point of contact, which allows us to develop really strong relationships. We keep our clients close, and that is why many of them have been with us for years.
Melbourne's end-to-end solution also includes a dedicated warehouse facility managed by Uday.
Our warehouse operation is technologically very advanced, with barcode scanners ensuring accurate tracking of all stock and providing customers with full visibility. We are also a customs bonded facility, which means that as soon as air freight arrives, we collect goods directly from the airlines and quickly clear customs on site. That saves time and ensures goods are delivered quickly to our customers.
Finally, there is Western Australia's capital, Perth, which is one of the world's most isolated cities. Given the size of the state and its relative lack of transport links, ports play a crucial role in connecting the state to the rest of Australia and the world. The Port of Fremantle, 20 kilometres south of Perth, is Western Australia's largest container port and operates 24/7. The state is also investing enormously in expanding other port facilities. Plans are afoot, for instance, for a new $400 million deepwater port at Exmouth, 1,200 kilometres north of Perth, which will support the state's renewable energy industry, agriculture and rare earth sectors. And more than $550 million is being spent on upgrading infrastructure at ports in the Pilbara region, including at Port Hedland, the world's largest bulk export. Logwin's Perth branch was opened in 2010, and it's led by Bronwyn, who is responsible for all of Western Australia and the Northern Territory. That's around half of Australia's total land mass.
Australia's eastern states work with customers who bring in the same kind of cargo in each day. We don't get that here. We do a lot of what people call ugly freight, very big, out-of-scope cargo, which we enjoy. Last year we did a lot of cargo that had to be moved to offshore gas rigs. And at the moment we are working with a supplier on a 2026 project that involves bringing into Western Australia 10 generators, each weighing 210 tonne, for a wind farm. We are looking after all the biosecurity management plus the land-based requirements. It takes months of planning because the wind farm is located a 4-day round trip from Perth, and given the weight, we have to drive very slowly and only at certain times of the day. One of the biggest challenges we face in Western Australia is transport infrastructure. We don't have any dedicated freighters operating into Perth, so air freight has to come on passenger aircraft only. We also don't have a public rail system or coastal service, so we need to use vehicles that must be booked a long way in advance and which need to cover huge distances and really varied terrain. These sorts of projects require a great team that works together, which is what we have got. With the right people, you can find a solution to just about any challenge that you have.
In Australia, we offer an end-to-end service to our clients, which means that as well as air and sea freight, we provide warehousing and custom clearance services, as well as quarantine services. We operate our own dedicated warehouses in Melbourne and Perth, and in Sydney and other areas of the country, we work with selected partners. Our national warehouse manager is Tony.
We work with warehouse partners in multiple sites across Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, which gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of the products. As a result, we look after everything from food and pharmaceuticals to electrical components and large machinery such as lifts or elevators. The only thing we don't do is temperature-controlled products. Offering an end-to-end service gives us a competitive edge in Australia, and our 4PL solution is definitely a string in our bow. We are a niche player, but we stand out because of our customer service.
There's one more service that we offer at Logwin Australia, and it's something most countries don't have to worry so much about: biosecurity. Australia is free of a lot of the pests that blight agriculture in other parts of the world. And if they did arrive on our shores, it would be devastating to the agriculture sector. As a result, efforts to keep the specific non-endemic pests out have increased significantly over the years. Logwin Australia's biosecurity efforts are overseen by our National Customs Manager, Con.
We act as customs brokers on behalf of importers to make sure they comply with all Australian customs and quarantine laws as the goods are cleared through border security. More recently, hitchhiker pests have become a major focus, and the most important is the brown marmorated stink bug, commonly known as BMSB, which can feed on more than 300 host plants, making it a major risk to Australia's agricultural crops. Over the years, its global range has steadily increased. It's native to parts of Asia, has spread into the US and Canada, and is now found across Europe. Australia is still stink bug free, but that is only due to our quarantine efforts, which run during the Northern Hemisphere winter, when the bug hibernates and hides in all sorts of goods, which have to be fumigated. Non-metro containerised deliveries also require a rural tailgate inspection by Australian Quarantine. It is our job to make sure our customers comply with all customs and quarantine laws to avoid any delays upon arrival.
As you see, Australia's size, location and isolation present some unique challenges. To help them deal with these issues, Australian businesses expect their logistics partner to provide high-quality technology solutions.
Our customers expect immediate access to real-time shipment information, anytime, anywhere, including mobile devices. LOTS delivers exactly that, with an intuitive, user-friendly interface. One important aspect for Australian importers is the complete visibility of any customs-related information. That includes relevant milestones and relevant documentation. Given Australia's strict biosecurity regulations, this transparency isn't just helpful, it's essential for compliance and the peace of mind. Beyond this, we offer customized EDI solutions that integrate directly into customers' internal systems, unlocking advanced reporting and seamless order management.
So that's Logwin Australia. We are far away, our teams are spread across the entire continent, we are multi-skilled and multicultural. In fact, our people speak more than 30 languages. And we spend a lot of time worrying about stink bugs. Thanks for visiting, and from all of us down under,
Thanks for visiting Australia.
Thank you for visiting Australia.
Thanks for visiting Australia.
Thank you for visiting Australia.
Thank you for visiting.
Thank you for visiting.
Thanks for visiting.
Thanks for visiting.
Thanks for visiting.
Thanks for visiting. Thanks for visiting Australia.
Thanks for visiting Australia.
Thank you for visiting.
Thanks for visiting.
Thanks for visiting Australia.
Thanks for visiting Australia.
Thank you for your visit.
Muchas gracias por visitarnos.
Salamat sa pagpariin sa Australia.
Terima kasih telah berkunjung. Selamat jalan.
안녕하세요.
Takipeano.
Bye, 多謝你.
Dhanyawad, Trimilingi.
Thank you for your visit.
Gracias por visitar Australia.
Obrigado por visitar a gente. Nandri, vanakkam.
谢谢您拜访澳洲.
Cảm ơn bạn đã ghé thăm.
Baie dankie dat julle vandag saam met ons die tyd spandeer het.
goodbye.
Vielen Dank für euren Besuch in Australien. Tschüss.